Hey everybody, welcome to Chicken Fried Growth, where go-to-market AI and the Deep South collide. I am your host, David York, and I'm here with my co-host, Sara Mosley.
Hey y'all.
And we have got a fun episode for you today. We're going to be talking about southern beaches as we dive into the Deep South. And then we're going to talk about Sarah's favorite topic, MCP servers.
Oh my.
Yes, I know you've been waiting with bated breath to dive into the depths of MCP servers as it relates to AI. So I'm doing a little thing I call the summer of MCP, because I think this year is where we're kind of hitting a lot of this, what's the right word, kind of a, where it's all kind of coming together for AI and connecting. And this is kind of the next wave of where people are going, is like, hey, we're all on board with AI in this regard. But now we need to really figure out how we can help it to drive operations and automation and tasks and actions and all that fun stuff. So MCP is how we do that. You knew that, right, Sarah? You knew that.
I just did learn it.
Okay. Just making sure. But first, let's dive into southern beaches, because what I will say is that I believe southern beaches are pretty underrated, to be honest.
Yes.
And I say that as someone who, I'm not going to talk about Texas beaches for the most part, because they're not underrated. Okay, so here's this is going to sum up Texas beaches. Now, I will say, if you go very, very, very far south in Texas beaches, like South Padre Island and way, way, way down, you get into some good beaches. But in general, you are not in great beaches in Texas. So my grandparents lived on Galveston Island, which is about an hour directly south of Houston. So we grew up going to this big stucco house, probably like 5 blocks from the beach. So you walk down, and if you're not familiar with Galveston has what they call a seawall. And so there was a massive hurricane that hit Galveston. I believe it's like 1908 or something, early on. And it basically wiped out the entire population. Like, it was bad.
It was bigger than New York at the time, though. That's what I always remember. It was supposed to be our New York.
Yeah. So this hurricane came through and just basically like just leveled Galveston. And so in response to that, they built what's called this thing they call the seawall. And it is literally like a 15-foot giant concrete wall. It's kind of concave, and it's nice, like concave shape. Mm-hmm. But it's like this 15-foot wall that, I mean, like, you don't want to fall off of. I mean, you will die if you fall off of the damn thing. And guess what? There's no rails on the seawall. So it's, that whole thing is just an interesting situation in and of itself. So my grandparents lived 5 blocks from there. So we would go down there for holidays and obviously, in the summer and kind of all the things. Right. And go down and swim and fish and all the beach life in Galveston. So my cousin, after my grandfather passed away, one of my cousins bought his house because they wanted to keep it in the family. And so they renovated it. It's a really nice house. It's very, it's old. It's got about a historic elements to it. So it's got a lot of character and charm to it. Yeah, it really does. And it's a great location for people so they turned it into an Airbnb. And they still have like holidays for all of our family there. So we went down to visit and hang out. Cousin was down with his family, and I took my family down there. We went down to the beach for a few days, and we all went down to the beach.
Kids now for the hypodermic needles.
So, well, just wait. We're getting there. Don't steal my thunder. So my wife granted, is from South Florida. I think I've told you this. So she's a beach snob by nature. She's already suspect. Yeah, she's already suspicious of Texas beaches, right? So we're down there, and my cousin's kids are swimming in the water, and one of his daughters comes out like all like just feeling like something's on her. It's kind of itchy and stuff, and we're coming out, and we're like, she's like, oh, something's itching or biting me or something like that. We're like, what is this? And they're like, oh, these are my cousins because they go down there more frequently. They're like, oh, I think she got some sea lice on her.
What? What is that?
Like sea lice, like, hair lice. We all have like horror stories of growing up with hair lice, but this is like sea lice. So my cousin's wife gets her and takes her up and takes her to the bathroom, gets her all like showered off and cleaned off and stuff. And we're like, yeah, so not hypodermic needles, but
worse.
But the next best thing. Yeah, the next best thing. So the sea lice down at the Galveston beach. Again,
never heard of that. That's terrifying.
I know, right?
Not to get in the water, the ash gray water down in California.
Yeah, it's and it usually kind of has like a brownish tone because the sand is such a darkish brown. But yeah, it's not pretty. So I say southern beaches with a caveat to say, hey, look, like generally Texas beaches, I don't put into the southern beach category. We really got to get like Mississippi and east.
Yes.
To get into the southern beaches.
Panama City. Yeah. All of that.
So those are, I would say like, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I would say like the southern beaches, the Florida Panhandle, and even like Alabama, they're some of the prettiest beaches in the U.S.
Because from
my perspective.
Yeah, we've got that white sugar sand that's so soft that even when it's scorching hot outside, you just sink into it and it's just kind of soothing and warm. And it's funny because on the Atlantic side, their sand is not as pretty as ours on Gulf Shores.
No, it's not.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I would say too, because my wife grew up on the East Coast of Florida, so
yeah,
she now prefers like Florida Panhandle or Florida West Coast.
Yes,
because the sand it's generally like it. You know how I relate it to? Like, remember back in the day, in those, the age of our age, we're just gonna date ourselves a little bit. Remember back in the day when they used to have like those ashtrays like everywhere that you would put like your cigarette butts out in, and it had that white powdery sand. Yes. And I'm always like, this is like ashtray sand. Like, that's how I equate it to. Like, I know it's like an awful comparison, but that's always in my mind what I think of. I think of that white powder, sand powder that was in the top of those little, it's like that little, it had that little metal, like stainless steel bowl. Yeah, there was a trash can, and then it had that little bowl on the top with the sand in it that had all the cigarette butts in it. Like, but it's that powdery fine, and it's that very, very white color, right?
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't worry about sea lice, which, oh my gosh.
No doubt.
I still am getting over that. Oh my stars.
Well, I mean, it was, yeah. I mean, let's just say nobody else went in the water after that.
I'm sure they did. That's
for
terrifying.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know anything. I mean, I didn't want to even Google sea lice after that because I was kind of like,
oh, I'm gonna have
just the name of it is kind of horrifying. I don't think we need to know any more about sea lice than what we already know and experience today.
I know, because there have to be conditions for that. Sort of like, how like when the temperatures are above 95 degrees, that's when you get like flesh-eating bacteria. Like something has to be like ideal for sea lice to be proliferating and being like a thing.
Yeah. So I would say, I don't know if you have beach rankings or anything, but we have spent a fair amount of time in the kind of between Panama City and Fort Walton Beach. There's a corridor right there called 30A. There's a little highway right there that has, some really, really gorgeous, beautiful beaches. And they're like, some of them are like these little master plan communities where everything is very Norman Rockwell-ish is kind of how we define it. It's like it kind of looks like something out of a magazine cover, but the beaches are absolutely just gorgeous.
Truman that Jim Carrey was in.
The Truman Show, yes.
Yes. That was filmed in Seaside.
Oh, yeah.
Up there outside of Destin. So that's where all this little idyllic homes, the picket fences, and everything so charming came from. I wish that they would make master plan communities like that throughout the South. Like that
right?
was the thing. Because the houses are so cute. You just want to be there. It's adorable. Yeah.
Yeah. So Southern Beaches and Orange Beach.
Yes.
In Alabama is quite the spot as well.
We just went there probably about 4 months ago with my sister, and oh my gosh, it's so beautiful, and you can go because it's so filthy hot here. Up until October, we had perfect weather. I mean, I was swimming in the ocean, not cold at all, and we were there. I mean, a week before November, like we were there like Halloween week, and it was awesome, and not as crowded.
And hearkening back to an earlier episode, the turnoff to Orange Beach is a Buc-ee's.
Yeah, of course.
When you head south for the beach, there is a Buc-ee's, and I have never seen there not be like almost like 1,000 people in that Buc-ee's every time I go there.
You got to get
because there's really not like Texas, and then when you go through, there's really not another Buc-ee's after Texas until you get to that one.
Yeah,
so far.
Right about that.
So we did a whole episode talking about Buc-ee's if you want to tune back into that. Okay. All right. So let's talk about one of my favorite topics. And I'm actually not joking, even though you're laughing at me.
That's the sideboard.
MCP servers. So I was in Silicon Valley earlier this week. Into last week, and I was having a whole conversation with somebody about MCP servers. Like, I looked at him, I said,
guys,
I was like, you realize we didn't even know this term didn't even like exist 2 years ago, and here we are having like a whole 30-minute conversation about this. Like, that shows you the rate of change from a technology perspective that we're going through, and how like things enter into the lexicon from a business standpoint in particular, so quickly.
How did that conversation get started? Somebody, let's talk about MCP servers.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, hey, buddy. No, it was. So we were there, demoing some AI agentic type of things, and with some folks, and so that was part of that. So let's just take a step back. Let's talk about what an MCP server is, Sarah. You have come to class today so that you know, and you're going to learn what an MCP server is. Yes. If anybody can tell, we did not practice and go over all of this content before this. I said, here's what we're going to talk about. And Sarah was like, okay, great. Like, whatever that is. All right. So when you're thinking about AI, everyone's using a tool like Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT or Copilot, right? You're using these tools. And most of the time you're in there having a back and forth. Hey, help me look at this, research this,
right?
Clean up my email, this, right? Whatever. All those times. What's the best, the best beach to go to in the South, right? You could type that in and get a nice answer. See how I'm working this in?
Yes.
Yes. Maybe.
Yeah.
If it says Galveston, it's hallucinating. That's what I'll tell you. So we're all using AI to do this and have these interactions and, conversations, if you will, in this conversational way. So what most people want to do at a certain point is go, I use all these other tools on a day-to-day basis. I use, Google for, my email, or I use it for my documents, or I use Microsoft for my email and, SharePoint or OneDrive or whatever, right?
Right.
An MCP server essentially is a kind of standardized, unified protocol to connect your AI tool of choice to the other tools that you're using on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
So thinking about, if I want to be able to go over to ChatGPT or Claude and say, hey, I need to find an email about this topic from so-and-so, and I want to use AI to actually do my bidding for me in that regard, versus me having to like go in the search bar, blah, 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 right? Like figure out what term I used whenever I wrote that email to try and find it, right? We've all sat in front of the search bar of your Gmail account and been like, what is the combination of words that is going to make this email come to the top of the stack?
Yes, please.
Right?
Yeah, I got it.
Yes, we've all been there.
Okay.
So if you use MCP, which is this connector protocol, this kind of standardized protocol,
right,
and use an MCP server that is connected to your Gmail account in this instance,
okay,
it will let you interact with your Gmails through Claude or Copilot or your email.
okay.
So in other words, so now your LLM can take action for you. It's not just a chatbot that you're interacting with. Now it can begin to take action and do things in the systems that you're using on a day-to-day basis. So if you have it connected to your Google Drive, for example, which I do.
Standing example. Okay.
So I could say, I want to find this particular document I created, or look for this particular thing, or I want to have it create a document,
right,
and then save it and open it directly in Google Drive.
Okay.
Right. So it becomes this connective tissue. It's almost like, and we'll get it on the technical side. I'll try and keep it not too technical, but if you think about like when the USB port came out, right? Every piece of technology put USB port into their self. So like every microphone you have, every camera you have that connects to your computer, a mouse, all of that uses USB to connect these two things together, right? So now you create this whole ecosystem of technology. So MCP is basically like that. It's like the universal connection layer. And then you have, when you use that technology and put a server with it, it now becomes a way that you're like, okay, these two things connect. So for lack of a better way to put it, it's basically like the tools that you use to integrate your LLM, Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever, to all of the tools that you use for your business or for work on a day-to-day basis.
See, it's integrating everything. Are you still selecting the tool that's going to perform the work, or is it doing that for you?
So it'll do it for you. It'll infer like what you're saying, like based on what you do. I mean, you can say, hey, look, in Google Drive, can you go find this, or look for this document, right?
Yeah.
If you said, for example, you could say, look, I need to find this document. And if you had multiple things connected that hold documents, it would systematically go search through all of them. It would be like, hey, let's go look here, here, and here at all of the places that I know that I'm connected to where documents would be stored.
Okay.
And I'm going to do that search.
Okay. So it's good at finding things, and it's good at, so is it delegating them, I'm guessing?
Not really, because the MCP server is really just like the connection point, right? It's not, it's the MCP, the server is not really doing it. It's just the integration point, right? So what ends up happening in an MCP server, you have what are called tools.
Right.
So I'm getting into a little bit next layer deeper. So I've got this integration with, let's just say, Google Drive. Okay.
Right.
And in that connection, there are like 8 tools that the LLM, the AI, can perform, right? It can read a document, it can create a document, it can, summarize. Yeah, it could do all those things. It could move a document, it could copy a document, it can like there's all the tools or the actions that I like to call them actions because it feels, but it's like, here's the actions that Claude can take using my Google Drive account, right? And there's permissions with like, oh, it can do this one without asking permission, but it has to ask permission if it does these. Okay. For example, like if it's going to create something, it has to ask for permission.
Okay.
If it's just searching for something, I can set it to where it could just search without my permission, right?
Okay.
So there's access controls and things like that. But the idea is, and this is where it gets interesting. So this is how you go from just AI being kind of an assistant to AI being what we would say an agent, right?
Okay.
Because now it's actually doing all of these things. It's actually starting to complete tasks and perform work.
Take action based on requests.
Yes. Okay. And it has all of the context of all of the things that I am working on and connected to. So it can utilize and leverage all of that if it needs to, or if I want it to, right. I tell it to, right? So I could connect it. So I have, I use Claude, and I have Claude connected to my Gmail account. I have it connected to my Google Drive. I have it connected to my calendar. I have it connected to my Canva account for, that I use for design stuff. I have it connected to Slack. I have it connected to, you see where I'm going with this? Like I have it connected to ClickUp for project management. Like all of those MCP servers I can use. And then now I can actually have all of the work that I'm doing start being performed. And so I can have it go create a task for me or for somebody else in the project management system we use, or I can have it design. I had it a couple of days ago. I was working on something, and I said, hey, take this copy and just put it into a design. Now, I didn't love the design it came out with, but it at least got it into a design. So it saved me the step of having to like cut and paste it, and it laid it out. Like I said, I didn't love the layout, but I used it as a starting point for another, something I was working on. So it gives me the ability to make it more than just, I ask it something and it responds to me, right? Now it's becoming part of my day-to-day work.
Okay. I think what I like about it is that it's bringing everything together so that whatever question you're asking it, all resources are considered basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And you want it to, and then the next layer, and I'll stop here because I know we're getting like,
it's riveting.
Going deep, going into the rabbit hole. I don't want to take it too deep into the rabbit hole.
I'm following.
But so within all of these tools, most all of them have the concept of a skill. Okay. And a skill is where I will describe, like, I want my LLM, yes, in Claude in this example, to do these things in this way. Okay. And I can have it use those MCP servers as a part of that skill. So I'll give you an example. So we created a skill for, we created an MCP server to integrate to a marketing platform called Marketo. Okay. And so we have all these connections where it can create a campaign, it can create emails, it can create a program, it can create like all different components that you would need to set up a campaign. Right. And so we have that built into the MCP server. Then what we did is we created a skill within Claude that said, hey, if somebody asks you to create an event follow-up campaign, ask them these questions. And then once you get the answers to those, go create all of these things over in this other system, in Marketo.
Ah, okay.
So when I go to my LLM, to Claude, I say, I need to create an event follow-up campaign, and it actually builds out a little form and asks me like 6 questions.
Okay.
And I enter those in and I hit submit, and then it just goes. It just goes and creates emails, it creates campaigns, it creates templates. It does all this thing in this sequence. Like, it just goes for like 10 minutes by itself, doing all of those things step by step by step based on the skill that I created with the instructions.
Okay.
And then the MCP server that has the integrations.
Okay.
Using those 2 things in tandem, I now have the ability for it to go out and accomplish all of this work for me in a completely automated fashion.
Okay. All right. That's interesting, because it does kind of remind me of like the iPass back in the day,
It is.
It's brought all the tools together. Everything's sort of seamlessly integrated. And so you're able to really basically, it almost does sound like you created an automation, even though it's not, but it sort of is, because you're saying, have these questions be answered, and then according to this, you're going to do this, and off it goes. Okay.
Exactly.
You like the results? Have you liked the results that you've gotten?
Yes. Love it. It does exactly what we want it to do. And this is where what we're doing to some degree is we're marrying the probabilistic nature of AI with the deterministic, because we're putting these rules and instructions in it that are very deterministic.
Right.
And the MCP is pretty deterministic as well, because it's just an integration point, right? It has an MCP server says, here's the information I need.
Right.
And here's what I'm going to do with that information. It doesn't like it takes variability out of the equation. So why this is the summer of MCP? Because we're all at this point with AI that we're like, okay, we're all ready to graduate to the next phase of AI, which is, how do I get it to do all the things that I automate all the things I'm doing on a daily basis?
Right.
And MCP servers are like, they are basically the integration platform or the iPaaS for AI, essentially what they are.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the crux to all of this is, hey, MCP servers are going to be the conduit for AI adoption, because it allows the AI systems that we have to be able to connect and talk to all the other systems that we've built our whole go-to-market stack on. So,
right. Okay.
Our CRM, our marketing platform, our account-based our ABM platform, all of those things, right? If I can get AI to communicate with all of those things,
right,
I now have the opportunity to do so much automation on a day-to-day basis.
How are you giving them permissions? Like, how are you allowing it to go to access certain information, but not of it? Like, can you make it to where it's got to get permission in order to access certain things, or it's just wide open?
No, yes, it's very detailed specifications on what it can and can't do, right? So it's like, if, for example, with Google, it requires that I log in, right? To use my login to say, okay, I'm only using David's Gmail account. I'm not giving company-wide Gmail access. And then each individual action I take, I can keep it in a state where it says, hey, it needs approval. So every time I say, hey, go do this, it's like, do you explicitly approve that I can do this?
Okay.
And you can do that. So, there's obviously IT security stuff there, even because some people are still like,
out of access.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways around that. And again, we don't have all the time to get into all the details of that, but there are definitely things that you can put in place to help kind of solidify that access, right? And to lock it down and tighten it up and things of that nature. Because I've worked with healthcare companies, for example, and they're like, hey, we have private health information here. The access controls are going to look different than they might in just some regular old company.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some nuance there, and obviously some security stuff that has to be worked through. But when we talk about us kind of taking this next step forward, MCP servers. So last thing I'll say is I'll close is, so what we're doing at my company is we're building a bunch of these just for different tools and different platforms. So a lot of platforms are building their own and releasing those into the market. So like all the ones I mentioned, like Google already has all of those MCP servers built. And you just go say add, you just go to your Claude or your ChatGPT and you say add that, right? And then you have the access. But we're building them for certain tools in go-to-market that don't necessarily have those already built. So as a way to say, hey, look, we can help you, Mr. or Mrs. Go-to-market person, connect these tools to your systems of record, the systems that you're using on a day-to-day basis. And so we're building a bunch of those this summer as a, knowing that, hey, this is kind of the next step forward for a lot of people to take as it relates to their AI adoption journey.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, well, I'm gonna own up. That was kind of exciting. The possibilities are getting there, and I can see how that's gonna really help. Like I can see how that can significantly connect things in a way that's meaningful.
Well, and I think this is, yeah, it is, and I'm glad you're excited, because I know getting you excited about like super technical stuff
takes a lot of work.
I know. So a mission accomplished.
Yeah, it is. It's cool. I'm gonna come clean. It's very cool.
Yeah, and what I'll say is this is how we as marketers and go to market, people go to market people. I'm gonna say go to marketers. Can we say that? That seems really weird. This is where we go from just like AI being an assistant to AI being agentic, right? Because it's now we can layer the automation now that we're connected to all the tools.
Yes.
Right. It's not a standalone anymore. Now it's a kind of woven into the fabric of our kind of go-to-market infrastructure because of these MCP servers and these integrations. And this is really how we take our next step forward on these journeys.
Yes, it's made it a logical step, because I think before it was up here, but nobody really knew how was that going to happen? Like, how are you going to get from this point to that point? But now it makes sense. Okay, so this is the tool that's going to bring everything together. And now you can begin doing things that are more agentic. Okay.
That's it. All right. Well, we did it. Let me know when you're ready to set up.
As I did.
Yes, let me know when you're ready to set up your first MCP server, Sarah. I'm going to help you.
Oh boy, you're giving me a lot of help.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We will talk to you soon.